beautiful day in the Kootenays as the NDP candidate for Kootenay West-Revelstoke, and with Audrey McLaughlin, our federal leader in the riding today. I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring her and our provincial MLA for Nelson-Creston, Corky out to the lower Bonnington Dam to talk about water and how it can be affected under the NAFTA agreement. And we chose the lower Bonnington because it's significant in that it was the first dam on the Kootenay River that West Kootenay Power and Light built back quite a number of years ago. And as we know, West Kootenay Power and Light is now owned by Utilicorp from Missouri, and that deal, that sale, happened just prior to the free trade agreement. And we have a concern that with the free trade agreement and with NAFTA, that there may be more sell-offs of our utilities, Canadian utilities, and we're concerned about our water. Here, particularly in the Kootenays, because we live and breathe by our water, and it's a crucial issue here for us. And I found that since I've been the candidate and right throughout the riding, from Revelstoke right down to the southern part, Castlegar Trail and Nelson, water is a crucial issue for us, and it is a serious concern. So we wanted to come out today and have a conversation about that with you.
Well, yeah, I am pleased to be in the Kootenays. I've been in Kootenays East and Kootenays West the last couple of days, and I'm particularly interested to be here today with Heather and with Corky, who, of course, have done a lot of work on the whole issue of exporting water under the NAFTA agreement, under the Canada-US trade deal. And our members of Parliament, as you may know, Brian Gardner, Nelson Rees, Lyle McWilliam, Jack Whitaker, and many of them have been involved in having hearings across the province in terms of NAFTA itself, but also in terms of particularly water exports, which has really concerned a lot of people here, but also in other parts of Canada. We've asked many questions in the House of Commons about this, and certainly never received satisfactory answers, and we are very concerned. It's particularly crucial from my point of view to come out here today, because next week in the House of Commons there's going to be a vote on the final reading of the NAFTA bill, which to us is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, first of all, what you have is the Congress of the United States of America raising questions, not bringing it before Congress. There are many committees, and we've been working with a number of people in the United States who have a lot of real concerns about NAFTA. Here we have the Canadian government ramming NAFTA through the House of Commons, and in a way, it's sort of like buying a house, paying cash, and not seeing the plans. And really that's what is happening next week. So we're really concerned. Our members are going to be speaking out, and we've been working across the country on this issue. But I think it's time that Canadians spoke out, and certainly in British Columbia I find there's a lot of opposition to NAFTA. Do you have any questions that you'd like to...
People like Jean Charest say that having the idea of water exports under NAFTA is just not there. How do you counter that?
Well, if you look at the NAFTA agreement, all 4,300 pages, of course, you will find that there is, and it is a matter of interpretation, there's no question about that. But you'll recall that the Conservative government said that our social programs would not be affected by the Canada-US trade deal. What have we seen since then? And they weren't directly in the trade deal. What have we seen? The undercutting of unemployment insurance, cutback of Medicare, and in fact, many ways of undermining the social network. In terms of water, there is a provision on bulk water. There is a provision on a pipeline. Now, unless we're going to put orange juice in that pipeline, I'm not sure what it's going to be.
What's it labeled as under the treaty?
Agricultural products.
I'd just like to say, as a representative of the provincial government, that Jean Charest lives in a place and represents a bunch of people whose water runs north, not south. And I would challenge him and Ms. Campbell to come and stand here where Heather has brought us and look at the water and then say it's not part of the deal. What a bunch of nonsense. They're hiding in cities and in place. Audrey McLaughlin's come here to where the water is. Everybody here, look at these people. They all know that this is part of the deal. In your heart you know it, in your guts you know it. Those people are hiding.
How do you intend to raise things in the House this week with the voters?
Well, as you know, the government has limited debate, at second reading on this, we had less than 6 hours of debate for all of the parties on the NAFTA deal. I mean, the government has really tried to do really silencing of voices on NAFTA. Certainly in the House of Commons, the committee only had very limited hearings, 2 invited people, not necessarily open. The other thing I must say, that there was an opportunity to beat NAFTA at that second reading a few weeks ago. The Liberals chose not to show up in their full numbers in the House of Commons. Less than 50% of the Liberals showed up. 18 more had shown up. We could have defeated NAFTA. So we know where the Liberals stand. The Liberals want to say no, but they stay home so that they don't really have to defeat NAFTA. We've been working across the country. Dave Barrett, our trade critic, of course, has been a very vocal spokesperson across the country. I've been speaking across the country on NAFTA. The reality is we're going to be fighting it with all we can this week. The reality is there's a majority government. And if they all show up, I suppose that they can pass this legislation. But it's not over. It is not over because it's not over in the United States. Can you imagine a government passing a piece of legislation which will in fact allow us no room for negotiation? How could we be so stupid as this Tory government to ram through this legislation and then say, well, we're going to go back and we're going to negotiate parallel deals and we're going to do this? I mean, what negotiating power do you have left? Absolutely none. So, I mean, the whole thing, I think what the Canadian public have to understand is that this is a sham, that I guess we have an outgoing trade minister that wants a monument to himself and an outgoing prime minister. It'd be cheaper to build him a statue because NAFTA is going to cost each and every Canadian, and I think it's really something that during the federal election they're going to have to wear, and it's going to be a disaster. I feel personally very strongly that this piece of legislation is the most disastrous piece of legislation before the House of Commons in decades, because it will affect our future. It's clear what the Conservative government wants. They want Canadians to go into the 21st century as a 51st state, and we're saying no to that. The Liberals, they want the Mulroney to do their dirty work for them.
As you said, it's a foregone conclusion that this will go through.
It's a majority government, and if they show up.
What do we do once it does to protect the water exports?
Well, I mean, this is the problem. I mean, they are trying to sell out Canada, sell it off piece by piece, whether it's raw logs or whether, in fact, it's water. If it goes through the well, I'll just finish this. If it goes through the House of Commons, this doesn't mean it's over. There is, I say,
Could you go to Clinton?
Pardon?
Could you go to Clinton?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have had a number of contacts with people in the Congress and a number of people in the administration expressing our concerns and trying to look at how we can have some joint effort. That effort, by the way, is also with Mexicans. The problem in Mexico is, quite frankly, it's a fairly repressive regime, and they don't have the liberty to speak out as they do in the States. But there are a lot of questions. The Tories may decide to ram this through before the federal election, but it won't be over, let me tell you.
Will you make
Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say in answer to the question, what do we do if they pass this thing next week? I would say elect these 2 women to run Canada and throw the fools out. Throw out the people who want to let the country go and get some brand new people with some new ideas and who care about Canada. It's not over until we see who wins.
Will you make it
Well, that's the best suggestion I've heard so far.
Will you make it an election issue?
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be an election issue.
Even though it gets fired through?
It has to be an election issue because it has so many implications for the future of Canada. And sovereignty implications, water exports, of course, is one, energy resources, transportation, financial deregulation, and so on. So it has to be an election issue. It will be an election issue. We will certainly be bringing forward NAFTA and the implication of the Canada-US trade deal during the federal election. I think it's going to be a big issue. I think Canadians are going to wake up and really see what this has been all about.
Could a new government repeal it?
Yes, there's an abrogation clause in the Canada-US trade deal, a 6-month abrogation clause, as you know. Now, the Liberals have said upon occasion that they would renegotiate. But we all remember when John Chrétien went down to talk to President Bush about renegotiation. President Bush said, forget it, and sent him home.
Would you throw it out?
We would abrogate the Canada-US trade deal. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Apologize again.
Thank you.
Keeping you waiting.